Alright, so you want to learn how to balance in Tony Hawk. That was just habit. Balancing is, I'm gonna say it's one of the easiest things to do and also one of the harder things to do. What do I mean by that? Well, it's really tough when you're starting out and you stress about it a lot. Like when you're starting out, you would not be able to confidently do this. You'd be like holding your balance in different ways, maybe grinding for a little longer so the balance starts to matter. Like this is how you usually start out and you're like, damn, this balance is really oppressive. Like I'm really good, and you can see how much it moves around for me when I'm trying to extend those grinds. The thing is, there's a lot of different things at play here. So first of all, the amount of time that you spend grinding increases the sensitivity of the grind to movement. So the total time spent in a grind increases that. But there's also, so the immediate thought is, well, then if you just hop around all the time, like you see me do, then it shouldn't get that crazy, right? And that's almost a correct assumption, but it does, every time you start a grind, and I think it has to actually count towards your tricks, like it has to show up in your trick string. Every time you start a grind, it also makes it a little more sensitive. So here, I'm actually, like, a lot of these grinds aren't going through, or they're getting, like, kiss the rail. Those do not make it more sensitive. But when you get those, like, 50-50 trick strings, or whatever, nose slide trick strings, then it makes it a little more. See, like I haven't held a grind this entire time. That was the first time a little bit. It's already getting a little more sensitive to movement. You can see it right here. So it's not just the total time spent in a grind. So it's balanced really well so that this playstyle is not completely broken. It has like a safety net. So you do have to pay attention to your grinds, but notice that like I'm on like 90 trick score, and just now it's getting to be as hard as it was before at like 30 when we were holding the grinds. So it's really important. It is really important to hop around all the time. There's another reason that it's really important to hop around all the time, which I guess I'll bring up here since we're talking about it. It's one of the fastest ways to gain speed up to max speed. You see, every time I jump, I gain a little speed. So when I spam jump all the time, I'm pretty much always going at max speed. And this is really good because it makes your tricks a lot more consistent. Because you always know the speed that you're going at, which is max speed. So a lot of these jumps just work every time you play like this. So balancing, right? So you get the basics of how the balance gets harder. The same things apply to manuals, but manuals, I feel, are more sensitive to repeats. Notice here how, like, I think it's because the manual triggers faster than a grind, and you're probably going to be holding your manuals for a little bit longer, but manuals seem to get insane pretty quick. And you can get to a point where it's like just at the edge, and there's just like there's no way to save it. So manuals are really unforgiving in that respect. It doesn't really happen on grinds. You can kind of always save it. So whenever you can, you should be grinding. And your manuals should be like your oh shit I fucked up kind of thing. For this reason in particular. So when you're in a grind, when you're like in a grind combo like this, the thing that I'm always keeping in the back of my head is where is the balance bar for both the grinding and the manual. And this is kind of tricky because like actively, like with my attention, I'm focusing on the line that I'm taking and making sure that these tricks work. But in the back of my head, but my eyes are looking at the balance bar. Pretty much the entire time my eyes are looking at the balance. I can of course see in my slight peripheral like what I'm doing and where I'm going to adjust. And especially when there's no balance bar, of course I'm looking directly at my character. But when there's a balance bar, since when you're in a grind, you're going where the grind takes you until you jump, and even if you jump, you're still going where the grind takes you, you know? Like, you can afford to take away your attention for a moment and put it towards the balance. So if I'm here and I'm just doing a straight grind, like that entire time I was doing all those flip tricks just from like muscle. I was not looking at it at all. Here I'm looking at my character to make sure this all works. And now I'm back to looking at my balance. And that actually caused me to fuck up there, that I wasn't looking at what I was doing. Here I'm just looking at my balance, looking at my balance. Notice how I came over here, I realized, I know that my balance is low, like it was kind of like right here. Let me see if I can like re-demonstrate what I did. It's kind of hard to do that in this game, because you don't go as fast from your foot. But like, okay, I saw that it was low, and then I came over here and I was holding up. Because when you start, your balance bar remembers the position it was in. Like, notice how it's moving down a little bit. Every single time that you land in the manual, it calculates where the balance bar is, and then it actually adds a little bit to the direction that it's leaning in. Like in a manual, notice how it's jumping down, and here it's jumping up. So it always adds a little bit. It seems to be less for grinds than manuals, which is another aspect of, that's like the aspect of why manuals are harder. So it adds a little bit each time. So every time you land, you have to compensate. And that actually means holding the manuals for a little bit longer than you would hold grinds. Because you need to compensate. Like here, I'm trying to compensate down. Like there, if I didn't compensate down, I would just be dead here. Here, I'm in a kind of a sketchy spot. I can't take a quick land. I had to wait until there to do the manual so that I could get a long enough time on the ground to pull it down to the center. And now it's down, so now I'm pulling up. You see, and like I was doing grinds, and I'm paying attention to the grind balance too. But like I know, oh, it's down, so I'm holding up. And that time I actually held up too much, so I'm like, okay, I need to hold down. Okay, so it's a little bit up, hold down a little bit, okay. And now it's right in the middle. Well, I fucked it up there. I fucked up the grind, but it was like right in the middle. That's what you want. You want it to always be in the middle so that you have the most leeway. But even though it's in the middle, quotation marks, it is a little bit towards one side or the other, so it'll jump towards that side. So you have to remember what it is, what that side is. Sometimes you can just fuck up and not see it, or it's like so close to the middle that you can't see it. But you should have enough leeway when you're that close to the middle. You should have enough leeway to see where it's at and fix it on reaction. So basically the idea here is, this is another strength of the held, or there's another strength of being like hoppy and jumping around all the time. When you're hopping around all the time, you land in each grind for a very short period of time. Now for manuals, this is a bad thing. You don't really want to be that hoppy with your manuals, even though you see me do it and it's a bad habit and you shouldn't do it. But with grinds, you can be really hoppy, and it's actually beneficial to be hoppy. So what I'm doing here is, I actually do not care about like detailed touches to the balance. This is something that you kind of like, when I say it, it sounds like it's not the optimal strategy. Like maybe you want to make a small adjustment, and that's true. But the way that I make adjustments is by changing the timing that I'm grinding. And I can like reverse midway too, like that's not impossible. But like whenever, I'm pretty much always holding the extreme of left or right. You should be able to see that if the gamepad thing is up. I'm not doing like little minor adjustments, I'm doing the full range. So basically the only thing I have to remember is left or right. Like, okay, let's see if we can get this fucked up a little bit. Let me like hold a grind for a second. Okay, so I'm thinking right, left. I don't know there. That was too close to the middle. When it's really close to the middle and grind, then you don't have to worry about it that much. Left, right, right, left, left again. It's kind of. You see what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking about it on such great detail that it requires all my focus. I'm thinking just left, right, just directions. It's too fast for me to like say it and do it, but you get the picture. Actually, I don't actively think about this very often, but the way that my brain works is left, right, left, right. If you're in manuals, then you're like, oh, you need to go up, this needs to go right. Fucked it up. But you see what I mean? Like, I knew I had to go right there. But it didn't matter that it was so close to the edge, because I was holding the extreme anyway. I think I fucked up holding the extreme that time. I think I would have lived, but... The point is that I knew, okay, I just need to hold this direction. And even though it was in the extreme, it didn't even matter. It was still the right thing to think. Hold full right. So when you're in the middles, it can be a little bad, because it can, like, when you're really sensitive, the problem with this is when you're really sensitive, and you've just got it in the middle, you don't actually want to hold any direction. But you might just on instinct hold a direction and then try and, like, reverse it and, like, fix it on the fly. This is what I do. I think that this is, like, a bad decision. It's kind of just like a byproduct of me always thinking left or right, one of the two when I grind. But you don't actually have to do that. You can kind of just like not press any direction. I'm so unpracticed in this. Well, another problem is like I'm trying to skate for style, and that's kind of what I've always gone for. And when you do that, you don't really want to do 50-50s because they look like shit. So there's also the aspect of I want to at least do like a tail slide or something, board slide. Not a 50-50, 50-50s are bad. So I'm holding a direction anyway. So I just kind of make that direction that I hold for the trick the same direction that I do for the balance. Maybe I do like a angled one if I'm feeling saucy. So this is pretty detailed on the balancing. I don't think that there's anything else to cover. Well, okay, there's one thing to cover, and it totally invalidates it totally invalidates everything that I just taught you. There's a bug in this game. I hate this bug. I won't tell you how to do it. There are other guides out there that will tell you how to do it. I do not respect people who use this bug. I think that it completely breaks the purpose of the game and how the combo system gets more difficult the further you get, because of balance is one of the like most important things about this game. But the problem is there's actually one or maybe even two tricks that reset your balance. So you can be skating and like start fucking up your balance a little bit. And there's a trick you can do. I just did it there, but I hit it, so you wouldn't know what it was. That resets it to the middle. And it's clearly a bug, because not only does it reset the position to the middle, but it actually like puts your sensitivity into negative. Like normally when you're really sensitive, it'll try and move towards the edges right away. But when you're not sensitive at all, it won't. But when you're negative sensitive, it actually like moves itself towards the middle. It's kind of amazing. Like you'll do the trick and you'll be like, oh, it didn't work, and my balance is still really fucked up. And then you'll quick hop a few times, like I'm doing right now, and all of a sudden you'll see the balance bar just slowly move back to the middle. It's really weird, and it's really broken. And personally, like it's kind of even bad that I showed you that you could hide it, because I want people to do it out in the open so that I can laugh at them. But yeah, that's kind of the basics to manual balance and the grinding balance. There is one more thing that's kind of important. This is actually a pretty good combo. I might clip this. I'm just like talking and not paying attention. I'm like nailing this fucking awesome combo. Is this the 12 million? This is a 20. Holy shit. Oh, I just did the fucking glitch on accident. See how I'm at like 220 trick score right now, but my balance is like in the exact middle and barely moving. This is the power of the glitch. Like I just did the glitch 2 times in this combo and I got 24 million. So like, if you want to completely break the game, yeah, go figure it out, do it, speedrun this game, do it all the time. You'll probably crack the top 5, top 3 probably actually. Just learn that and butt slaps and you're already way ahead of most of the times. But yeah, I guess I'll do butt slaps next. Butt slaps is really easy, but I don't know. I'll have to think about what my next video will be, but I think this one turned out alright. So yeah.